Sing to the Lord a new song. Sing to the Lord, all the earth. Declare God's glory among the nations. Extol God's marvelous works among the peoples. Honor and majesty, strength and beauty are in God's sanctuary.
4 weeks during the summer, 3 weeks in June and 1 week in July, one Sunday in July, we are engaging with the Psalms. The Psalms have offered timeless support and expression to the people of God, partly because they are in musical form, that they're poetry, really. But I think primarily because they express the range of human emotions in regard to ourselves and in regard to our relationship with God and even the identity and the work of God. So I invite us to engage with heart and mind as we explore the texts, the meaning, the poetry of Israel's hymn book, the book of Psalms. And I invite you now.
Good morning. Y'all want to come up here and I'll read you a story? Thank you, Rory and Drew and Nate and Aiden. You like stories? You don't? Well, I'm going to try and change your mind, okay? This is a classic. Do you know what I mean by a classic? What's a classic mean?
Something that's old.
Right on, brother. Yes. What else?
I have no idea.
You have no idea. Honest answer. What it is something that's very old, as you said, Drew, and it's also something that people have enjoyed throughout its lifetime. This story is 75 years old. Older than me, older than Pastor Glenna, older than your parents, and maybe even older than your grandparents. So why are we still reading it? It stood the test of time. Throughout 75 years, people have loved it. It's called The Runaway Bunny. It's by Margaret Wise Brown, and it has pictures in it, my favorite kind of book. Okay, it's got some pictures here, so I hope you all can see them. Once there was a bunny who wanted to run away. So he said to his mother, "I'm running away." "If you run away," said his mother, "I will run after you, for you are my little bunny." "If you run after me," said the little bunny, "I'll become a fish in a trout stream and I'll swim away from you. If you become a fish in a trout stream, I will become a fisherman and I will fish for you." How about that? Imagine. This is Mama Rabbit. She's got her waders on. She's got her fishing pole. What's she fishing with?
Carrot.
A carrot. Did you ever fish with a carrot?
No.
I bet you never fished for a rabbit, though, did you? Okay. "If you become a fisherman," said the little bunny, "I'll become a rock on the mountain high above you." "If you become a rock on the mountain high above me," said his mother, "I'll be a mountain climber. I will climb to find you." How about that, huh? Can you find the bunny? Cool, turned into a rock. We got Mama Bunny here with her cool, fashionable hat, Tyrolean hat. "If you become a mountain climber," said the little bunny, "I will be a crocus in a hidden garden." "If you become a crocus in a hidden garden," said his mother, "I'll be a gardener and I'll find you." Can you find the rabbit? Wrong picture. One moment, please. Yes, right in the garden, a crocus. And she has her very trendy and fashionable overalls on and her sun hat. I like those overalls. I wear those too. Very fashionable. "If you are a gardener and find me," said the little bunny, "I'll be a bird and fly away." If you become a bird and fly away from me, said his mother, I'll be a tree you come home to. How about that? Look what he did with his ears. He made them into wings. Cool, Aiden? And his mom's a tree in the shape of a rabbit. If you become a tree, said the little bunny, I'll become a little sailboat, and I will sail away from you. If you become a sailboat and sail away from me, said the mother, I'll become the wind, and I will blow you where you want me to go. Check out this picture. It's the ocean. You can tell because of the big wave. Look at what he did with his ears. He made sails for his sailboat. Cool, huh? You sure you still don't like stories? No, good. Honest. That's what I like. If you become the wind and blow me, said the little bunny, I will join a circus and fly away on a flying trapeze. If you go flying away on a flying trapeze, said his mother, I'll be a tightrope walker, and I will walk across the air to you. Circus. Once again, fashionably dressed. Where's the bunny, Nate? See the bunny? Find the little bunny. How about here? On his flying trapeze. Right, Drew? Okay. If you become a tightrope walker and walk across the air, said the bunny, I'll become a little boy and I'll run into a house. If you become a little boy and run into a house, said his mother, I will become your mother and catch you in my arms and give you a hug. Here they are in a people house. He changed into a boy. You can tell because he's got his blue and white jammies on. See that? And here's Mother in her dress. Got a fireplace going there. Pretty cool, huh? You like that, Nate? Do you have jammies like that? Don't. It's kind of hokey, huh? Shucks, said the bunny, I might just as well stay where I am and be your little bunny. And so he did. Have a carrot, said his mother. So he stayed, and here they are, lived happily ever after in the rabbit den, under the tree, next to the garden. He can have all the carrots he wants forever and ever. What'd you think of it? Thank you, Rory. Did you like it? It was okay. No? That's okay. You were a good sport. Thank you, children. So the runaway bunny, was he successful?
No,
No. How come?
because he failed in all his attempts because his mother always caught on to what he was going for.
Right, right. And his mother loved him very much, and she wasn't going to let him run away. So if you run away, Drew, who's going to come and get you?
My mother?
Your mother? Anybody else?
I have no idea.
Your grandmother? Your grandfather? Your father? God? You can never run away from God. God will always find you. Okay? Thanks, kids.
One of the things that we're doing to help us reflect on the Psalms during this series is reading from different translations and versions, paraphrases of the scriptures of the Psalms. Many of us are of an age where the first readings that we heard from the Psalms, or any other portions of the Bible for that matter, were from the King James Version. And so I begin with a reading of Psalm 139 from the King James Version. O Lord, thou hast searched me and known me. Thou knowest my down sitting and mine uprising. Thou understandest my thought afar off. Thou compasseth my path and my lying down, and art acquainted with all my ways. For there is not a word on my tongue, but lo, O Lord, thou knowest it altogether. Thou hast beset me behind and before, and laid thine hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is high. I cannot attain unto it. Whither shall I go from thy spirit, or whither shall I flee from thy presence? If I ascend into heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there. If I take the wings of morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there shall thy hand lead me, and thy right hand shall hold me. If I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, even the night shall be light about me. Yea, the darkness hideth not from thee, but the night shineth as the day. The darkness and the light are both alike to thee. For thou hast possessed my reins, thou hast covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. My substance was not hid from thee when I was made in secret and curiously wrought in the lowest parts of the earth. Thine eyes did see my substance, yet not being perfect. And in thy book all my members were written, which in continuance were fashioned, when as yet there was none of them. How precious also are thy thoughts unto me, O God! How great is the sum of them! If I should count them, they are more in number than the sand. When I awake, I am still with thee. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me, and know my thoughts, and see if there be any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. Our response.
Reading from the New Revised Standard Version. O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from far away. You search out my path and my lying down and are acquainted with all my ways. Even before a word is on my tongue, O Lord, you know it completely. You hem me in behind and before and lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is so high that I cannot attain it. Where can I go from your spirit? Or where can I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you're there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there. If I take the wings of the morning and settle at the farthest limits of the sea, even there your hand shall lead me, and your right hand shall hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, and the light around me become night, even the darkness is not dark to you. The night is as bright as the day, for darkness is as light to you. For it was you who formed my inward parts. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, that I know very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of the earth. Your eyes beheld my unformed substance. In your book were written all the days that were formed for me, when none of them as yet existed. How weighty to me are your thoughts, O God! How vast is the sum of them! I try to count them. They are more than the sand. I come to the end. I am still with you. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my thoughts. See if there is any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting.
This is the Common English version of the psalm. Lord, you have examined me. You know me. You know when I sit down and when I stand up. Even from far away, you comprehend my plans. You study my traveling and resting. You're thoroughly familiar with all my ways. There isn't a word on my tongue, Lord, that you don't already know completely. You surround me, front and back. You put your hand on me. That kind of knowledge is too much for me. It's so high above me that I can't fathom it. Where could I go to get away from your spirit? Where could I go to escape your presence? If I went up to heaven, you would be there. If I went down to the grave, you would be there too. If I could fly on the wings of dawn, stopping to rest only on the far side of the ocean, even there your hand would guide me. Even there your strong hand would hold me tight. If I said, the darkness will definitely hide me, the light will become night around me, even then the darkness isn't too dark for you. Nighttime would shine bright as day, because darkness is the same as light to you. You are the one who created my innermost parts. You knit me together while I was still in my mother's womb. I give thanks to you that I was marvelously set apart. Your works are wonderful, I know that very well. My bones weren't hidden from you when I was being put together in a secret place. When I was being woven together in the deep parts of the earth, your eyes saw my embryo, and on your scroll every day was written that was being formed for me before any one of them had yet happened. God, your plans are incomprehensible to me. Their total number is countless. If I tried to count them, they outnumber grains of sand. If I came to the very end, I'd still be with you. Examine me, God. Look at my heart. Put me to the test. Know my anxious thoughts. Look to see if there is only any idolatrous way in me. Then lead me on the eternal path.
The psalmist's conviction about this ever-present one is poetic and powerful. We know the words, God, you have searched me and you know me. You know me when I sit down and when I rise up. You hem me in behind and before and lay your hand upon me. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? It's hard to know all these centuries and translations later whether it's a desperate desire to hide from the searching God or a delectable delight in being found that motivates the psalmist's prayer. Now, a somewhat common image of God implies that God, the Spirit, is out there, in heaven or somewhere, looking on from a distance, as Bette Midler suggested. Removed, just waiting with indifference or frustration to be sought by human beings who are in need. But then we read Psalm 139, or we hear the story of the runaway bunny, or we remember the line of Francis Thompson's old, rather mediocre poem, The Hound of Heaven, that speaks of a God who pursues human beings down the nights and down the days, down the arches of the years. Or we sing that great hymn of the church that introduces us to the God who will not let us go. O love, that will not let me go, I rest my weary soul in thee. I give thee back the life I owe, that in thine ocean depths its flow may richer, fuller be. In story and song and poetry and psalm, we meet a God who takes the initiative, who will not let us too far out of sight, who pursues us with love that knows us through and through to our very conception. We may recognize this seeking, persistent God in some biblical stories that are familiar to us. We remember the boy Samuel, who hears the voice of God repeatedly calling him, even before he knew about communication from God. We remember that Moses was tracked down by Yahweh's voice from a burning bush, of all places. And a young girl named Mary, who was pursued for an unimaginable purpose. God came to each of these and more unsolicited. God searched them out, knew them, and wanted them, wanted intimacy with them. In her popular book, Traveling Mercies, Anne Lamott describes her slow, gradual return to faith from a life that was falling apart. She describes standing outside St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church in Marin, California, looking in, listening to the singing. One day, she got the courage to step through the door. She said that all along, God had been pushing and nudging and prodding. When she finally said, "I quit," she took a long breath and then reports that she said out loud, "All right, you can come in now." But not everything about pursuing God for the psalmist or us feels comfortable. UCC minister and writer for the Still Speaking Writers Group, Quinn Caldwell, wrote in a Still Speaking devotional that Psalm 139 is his mother's favorite psalm. For her, he says, this idea of a God who is all-knowing is a source of supreme comfort for her. But to me, he says, it's just plain creepy. In my teenage mind, he writes, it all felt a little too much like God the Stalker, peeking at me through windows. But now, he writes, I'm less convinced that privacy is a great virtue, at least where God's concerned. These days, that feels a lot less like creepiness and a lot more like grace. I am with you and will be, this pursuing God insists, wherever you are, whatever you're going through, I won't let you go. If you go to the highest mountain, I'll become a mountain climber. I suspect that we too have a variety of responses, maybe even reactions to this invasive, pervasive, unyielding sort of love. We may feel awe or relief, assurance or annoyance, or maybe a little of each. It's actually difficult to know if the psalmist is asking seriously where he might go to hide from God, or if the questions are rhetorical, because he does indeed feel secured by God's presence. But the observation is pretty obvious and true of most of us, I believe. Human beings do avoid being found, especially this kind of found. We do turn away from being searched and fully known. We may run away like the bunny, too close, too present, too inescapable. Some of us, I know, spend quite a lot of energy and quite a lot of time hiding something, or trying to hide something. We hide things about ourselves that we fear some might disapprove of. We create secure hideouts for emotions that may provoke discomfort in ourselves or in other people. Anger, fear, depression. We shamefully hide our mistakes, or even the wounds of our childhoods that we carry still. You may have seen the CDC's recently published statistics on the rise of suicides in the United States. Interestingly, the rate of suicides is twice as high as homicides. And shockingly, Suicide is the second leading cause of death in people between the ages of 15 and 34. And here it is. Most talk to no one about their fears, pain, or desperation. Sometimes we hide because our friends or our families have made it clear that we're not to be quite so real, that our self-revelations are inappropriate or not acceptable. We hide, sometimes even from ourselves, to avoid rejection and pain. But the psalmist reminds us that hiding from God is not only impossible, but it keeps us from that spiritual intimacy, knowing and being known, which can actually heal and save us and set us free. In a culture where most of us have been encouraged to hide something, this poetic prayer speaks a bold and inviting word of grace over the centuries. Ancient words that are still true and needed for each of us and for our world. But it also might be a frightening word of grace. You see, along with God's presence, along with God's securing presence, the light will shine into those hidden corners, illumining the secrets that we've worked so hard to protect. Aware of the light, feeling the light. We just can't hold on to our closeted skeletons. It's easier, isn't it, with that from a distance God? That God we may keep tucked away in a box or may even keep here at church. The one who's there only when we need answers or help or comfort, available for a quick I need rescuing prayer. But not the one who shows up uninvited. The persistent love of God has a double edge to it. We long to be wrapped in the blanket of God's knowledge of and love for us. And yet we may want to escape its revelations and its call to come into relationship with God and with God's presence in other people. God searches us out to be with us, to permeate our lives with power and hope, to live in us, to love us, to let that love shine and live in us. Not only when we're deep in prayer or singing hymns in church, but God goes where we go, follows us around, if you will. Stalker God, I suppose. Right there with us when we're playing with our grandchildren, when we get caught up in the heat of a political discussion, or even when we're in the deep clutches of self-pity or self-delusion. God, love, wants to meet us there. Not to threaten us or to shame us into some restrained holiness, but to know us and to love us into wholeness, into peace, and into joy. Even when we just want to be left to our own devices of destruction or indulgence, God searches us out and draws us close and finds us again. For the sake of love and liberation, for the sake of our highest well-being. Love that can save us from our darkest possibilities, from despair and hopelessness. When God's love shines its unfaltering light onto us, all need to hide is suddenly over. Fred Craddock, that Disciples preacher who has such a wonderful, folksy, profound style to his preaching, tells a story about growing up in the country and playing hide and seek. You remember how it goes, he says. Whoever is it covers their eyes and counts to 100 while the other kids go and hide. My sister was it, he remembers. And when my sister was it, she cheated. She started off honestly enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 93, 94, 95. I had a hiding place under the steps of the porch. I knew she'd never find me there. "Here I come, ready or not," she announced. So here she came, in the house, out of the house, in the weeds, in the trees, down to the barn. She couldn't find me. I almost gave myself away down there, just snickering to myself. She'll never find me here. Then it occurred to me, she'll never find me here. So after a while, I'd stick out a toe. When she came by and saw my toe, she said, "Oh, I see you." Then I'd come out, brushing myself off, saying, "Oh, shoot, you found me." Then Dr. Craddock asks, "What did I want? What did I really want?" "The very same as you." "Where can I go from your spirit?" the psalmist asks, perhaps sticking a toe out. "Where can I flee from your presence? You know when I sit down, you know when I rise up, you discern my thoughts from afar." How might our days be different if we were conscious, intentionally conscious of the loving presence of God when we rise up, as we move through our work and our leisure, our problems and our pleasures, when we dream and hope? Could we be aware that the Spirit listens in to strengthen our intentions and resolve, to give power to our hope and our gladness? When we're going through hell, can we really believe, "If I make my bed in Sheol, O God, you are there. Surely the darkness shall cover me, but even the darkness is not dark to you"? God comes to us, calls our name while we're doing whatever we're doing, wherever we are. The writer C.S. Lewis described his encounter with the Spirit of God. He says this, "Picture me alone in that room night after night, feeling the unrelenting approach of the one whom I so desperately desired not to meet. That which I greatly feared had at last come upon me. I gave in. I admitted that God was God, perhaps the most reluctant convert in all of England." The presence of God is ever near this morning, as near as our breathing, coming again and still to us wherever we go, persistent and lingering, eager to know us and to be known by us, to make us feel that love that just won't let up, that won't let us go. Perhaps you know this Bob Dylan song. Adele did a cover recently of it. I invite you to sing it along with me and hear in it the voice of God that speaks to our souls today. When the rain is blowing in your face and the whole world is on your case, I could offer you a warm embrace to make you feel my love. When the evening shadows and the stars appear, and there is no one there to dry your tears, I could hold you for 1,000,000 years to make you feel my love. I know you haven't made your mind up yet, but I would never do you wrong. I've known it from the moment that we met. No doubt in my mind where you belong. I'd go hungry, I'd go black and blue. I'd go crawling down the avenue. No, there's nothing that I wouldn't do to make you feel my love. The storms are raging on the rolling sea and on the highway of regret. The winds of change are blowing wild and free. You ain't seen nothing like me yet. I could make you happy, make your dreams come true. Nothing that I wouldn't do. Go to the ends of the earth for you to make you feel my love. Make you feel my love. My hope for us during this coming week is that we will envision the presence of God in many images and in many forms, with us, breathing in us, surrounding us, filling us with love and encouragement and hope, and just that presence that we know is always there. I also hope that we will take the prayers that we have heard today and envision, project, see the presence of God with those who are in need. In addition to that, my prayer is that we will take these prayers that we have heard today, and that we will, with the resources that we have, including the presence of God living in us, that we will be the presence of God with those in need. May it be so as we go with the love, the seeking love of God, the example and word of Jesus that's gone before us, and the power of the Spirit in us to make it all so. Amen. You may go in peace.